already have kind of speakers here. So please let us know where you're joining from. I am privileged to be joining from the capital city of Nigeria, Abuja. So please let us know in the chat where you're joining us from. And also, before we go into speaker introductions, please just a brief housekeeping rule. Kindly keep your mic turned off. IT team help me turn off on Idris Abiola. Thank you. All right, so please kindly keep your mics muted, and of course, kindly keep your questions. There would be a session for Q&A, so best believe this is going to be quite engaging. And also for our speakers, please, we would need your videos to be turned on. This is because we promise our community, and we always have engaging, of course, moments here. And we're also streaming to other platforms, which are video-centric platforms. So we would need your videos to be on. Thank you so much. I just want to share that we're quite excited to have you here. This is the first, actually the first edition for Tech Economy Business Series. This is the series that Tech Economy has been organizing as a faculty to drive meaningful conversations and, of course, bring together industry experts to share content and to share resources that are quite valuable to everyone in the community and outside within Africa. Yeah, thank you, Idris. You're joining from Nigeria, Ibadan. I can see all your responses. Thank you so much. So please, tech team, take it away.
Adepeju Ajayi. Adepeju Ajayi is a marketing and digital advertising professional leading mobile advertising at MTN Nigeria, one of the country's largest telecommunications operators, serving over 50 million subscribers with connectivity and digital solutions. In a role, Adepeju drives mobile-first advertising strategies that help brands engage audiences across MTN's extensive network, leveraging data insights, mobile platforms, and innovative campaign solutions to enhance customer reach and commercial impact. She brings a strategic focus on how mobile advertising can support business growth, deepen customer engagement, and unlock value for organizations navigating Nigeria's vibrant digital economy. Adepeju's participation in the Tech Economy Business Series highlights her expertise in the intersection of telecom, mobile marketing, and digital innovation, providing practical insights for professionals and businesses exploring opportunities in tech-driven advertising and audience acquisition. Ekundayo Ayeni, a co-founder at Business Plus and the CEO Business Plus LLC. Ekundayo Ayeni is a renowned B2B sales and digital marketing expert, widely regarded as one of Nigeria's most successful B2B sales strategists. He is the CEO of Business Plus LLC, a leading digital marketing and transformation agency operating across Africa and the United States, helping public and private sector organizations drive revenue through content-led inbound marketing and digital strategy. An alumnus of Harvard University's Executive Program and Lagos Business School's Owner-Manager Program, ONP 34, where he currently serves as president. Ekundayo has consulted for high-profile institutions and leaders, including the Office of the Vice President of Nigeria, Aliko Dangote and family, Olu of Wari Ogiame Atuwal C3, Premium Trust Bank, UBA, Access Bank, Lagos State Government, and several others. He is a multiple award recipient, including Business Day's fastest growing company, Careers Express 2022, an ECOWAS Youth Ambassador and facilitator at the National Institute of Marketing of Nigeria. Ekundayo is also an adjunct lecturer at the Mountaintop University, a senior research fellow, board member of several organizations, and an active investor in startups across Africa. Ogechi Okwechime. Ogechi Okwechime is the divisional head of group marketing enterprise at Center Switch Group, group initiatives across payments, fraud solution, and cross-border services. A certified product manager and marketing analyst, she previously headed product management for cards and payment telecoms at Switch. In this role, she contributed to scaling card services across more than 22 African countries, supported innovative digital lending products, and helped shape fintech growth strategies for emerging markets. Bukayo Ewusho. Bukayo Ewusho is a business growth consultant with strong expertise in sales strategy, marketing expansion, and revenue optimization. He currently leads business and ad tech marketing solutions at PISI, where he crafts innovative digital growth and marketing strategies that help brands and businesses across Africa achieve measurable outcomes in audience engagement, lead generation, and revenue performance. Before his current role, Bukayo held key positions in digital advertising and product marketing, including Global Product Marketing Manager at Eskime, where he managed international product positioning and growth initiatives across diverse markets. Over the years, he has worked across major sectors including telecommunications, banking, tech startups, FMCG, and media, developing tailored go-to-market and campaign strategies that drive both brand impact and commercial results. Bukayo's leadership extends beyond strategy execution. He has been recognized among marketing professionals shaping Africa's digital economy and regularly contributes insights on growth frameworks, channel optimization, and strategic marketing investment. His work blends data-driven planning with brand-centric creativity to help organizations scale sustainably across evolving digital landscapes.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, tech team. As we can see, we have a lineup of experts from different industries, from telecoms to core technology to business. But of course, what I'm most excited about is the fact that we have a rich audience here who have joined in. So we are quite glad to serve you and, of course, deliver value for the 1 hour that we're going to be here. So quickly jumping into the conversation, this conversation is organized by Tech Economy through the Tech Economy Business Series, which is part of Tech Economy's ongoing commitment to foster informed conversations and, of course, implement capacity building and talent development across Africa's technology and business landscape. And of course, today's conversation, Tech Sales, is not just about talking about what sales is or how tech can enable sales, but we have seen that tech sales today is no longer about just selling software or services. It is about understanding markets, solving complex problems, and building trust, most importantly, to drive growth across sectors from fintech to telecoms to enterprise solutions and digital platforms. So as we go into this conversation, our goal really is for you, the audience, to walk away with practical value that you can start implementing day one as you leave this room. That is always the goal for our conversations. All right, without further ado, I just want to bring our speakers on stage. Speakers, I just want to ask simply, we've already done your introduction, so no need to dabble into that much further, but just in 1 minute each, I will start with Adepoju. Just kindly introduce yourself and maybe also share how you ventured into tech sales and what was your own entry point and maybe what was the misconception you held before you venture into the field that you're currently in. So in 1 minute or less.
All right. Thank you for the introduction. Hello, everyone. My name is Adepoju, and I'm the manager of mobile advertising at MTN Nigeria. Just to quickly go over how I ventured into tech sales. It wasn't exactly straightforward for me. So personally, I have found myself doing jobs or doing roles that basically had to do with sales, engaging with customers through e-commerce, through direct sale, cold calling, and even prospecting. And it was from there that I developed a love for sales. And it was also there that I figured out this is something that I can actually do. Now, because I'm a millennial, I like to think that we were born between where there was no technology and where there's technology. So basically, it was a combination of um, being curious about how technology works and also finding ways to make businesses work more efficiently with technology. And tech sales is not just about a product, it could also be a software that you're selling, for example. And that's why there are different angles to technical sales. So it wasn't exactly straightforward. It was a combination of my passion for it, it was a combination of the work experiences that I had and some of the responsibilities that I had to take on in my different job roles. For example, increasing revenue and basically getting customers, growing a business. So that was pretty much how I got into tech sales. The entry point for me was working as a sales development representative. I did this at a health tech company, and what we're doing was basically a SaaS company. So that was the entry point. And if you know tech sales, you know that that's like the foundation of it. That's where you learn the basics of everything. One of the biggest misconceptions I would say that I had about tech sales, I felt like if you're able to speak fluently and you look good, you're confident, you're able to sell. But there are deeper things that need to be considered if you want to succeed in sales, such as understanding one's business, identifying pain points, looking at what is crucial, what solution are you solving, what problem, sorry, are you solving, what solution are you offering to these people. It's not just about exchanging money for a product or a service. It's also, basically providing a value proposition or providing a solution to a problem that they have with whatever um, channels that they might be using or whatever product or service that they might be using. And using that to your advantage to say that we can do better. And this is why I think you should convert with me. So, in summary, that's basically how I entered into sales, tech sales, and that's the misconception I had. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, Adefunle, for starting off the conversation with such energy. I'll be coming to you, Bukayo. Bukayo is someone that I have known from afar and closely, right from the days of DigiClan Africa. He was always someone that is always sharing resources and, of course, sharing tips. And you're like, who is this high-performing guy that exists? Well, yeah, Bukayo, good to see you and good to see that you're well and fine. I want you to take the same line, right, Bukayo, but then I want you to also shine the light on for someone with no prior sales background, right? What are the most realistic entry points? Adepo just touched on the fact that she came in as an STR. So, what are the most realistic entry points today in tech sales? And then many people believe that you need a core technical background to sell tech. Is this a myth? And if it isn't, what is the actual low-hanging fruit for someone transitioning from a non-tech background into tech sales, please? Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. Hi everyone, my name is Bukayo, and nice to meet you and put a face to the name anymore on this call. I think for so long. Yes. So in terms of entering points, I actually entered sales, or if I put it that way, right, tech sales through account management, angle and client servicing or client interfacing, which adequately had actually hinted at. That's how I entered. That's typically needs you to have an understanding from the entire value chain, which is from a product side of view, from a marketing as well as revenue ops and sales part of it in terms of client retention and also increasing average revenue per client, if you put it that way, as a whole. And I think one of the key places where you can enter from a non-technical background when it comes to tech sales would be account management, client servicing, customer success, and products and innovation. This is because you have to be someone that is speaking to the customer every day. Sales is really about understanding the customer's problem and exactly how do you solve that. So when you solve the problem, you are then able to make money from that. Really, I find that a lot of time when it comes to misconception about sales, people think sales is about meeting targets and getting budgets in quotes, right? And that basically just talks about you pushing, and that's a push rather than actually solving a problem perspective. When you change your shift to actually sales is not necessarily about selling. Selling is something that is the delivery that you actually have to do. If you think from a value and solving a problem and leading with understanding what the objective of the person is, you find that we are all salespeople at the end of the day, whether you're technical or not technical, right? Because the major thing is what's the objective you want to do and how do you want to solve that problem from that person. Except that in sales, you get to be paid to actually solve that problem in terms of delivery of problem solving, right? So I think when you shift your mind from selling and meeting targets to actually solving problem, you realize that you can actually enter tech sales from different angles and you have an ownership mentality to always, solve a problem for someone and taking ownership of that, you would learn what you require to deliver your sales productive, I put it there, whether from a software target or from a product perspective, you'll be able to learn that because you have an ownership mentality and you will learn the technical jargon and understanding of framework behind things regardless.
Thank you so much, Bukayo. I really appreciate that response. I'll be coming to you very quickly, Ogechi, because not only do I know you personally, but because your journey has sat between, I would say, core traditional companies and now with a technology giant. So I believe this question is perfectly for you. How important are internships, graduate training programs, and like Adepoju and Bukayo have concocted on SDR and BDR roles? Basically customer success roles as stepping stones. And what would you say are the three soft skills that differentiate a good salesperson from a great one?
Okay, you're a bit muffled, so I was just trying to get you. Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and it's really great to be here. Um, can you just repeat the question again? Just make sure I got, because I struggled a
Oh,
bit at first.
okay. All right. Sorry about that. I was saying, for someone with your background, which sits between core traditional companies and now with the technology,
Mm-hmm,
how important
mm-hmm.
are internships, graduate training programs, and customer success roles as stepping stones into tech sales? And then what would you say are the top three soft skills that differentiate a good salesperson from a great salesperson?
Okay. Um, so I'll just start from maybe, from someone who is trying to, okay, so sometimes people, I think often, sometimes when people say, when I speak to young people, let me just come from that, and they look at your title and okay, divisional head, um, growth marketing. There's always they don't always realize that they usually think you skip the boring parts. People look at it from you're just being a head. They assume that you skipped the boring part of your career. So let me just go back to my early days. Um, let me say, I spent a lot of time learning through the ropes. So I started from customer service. My journey wasn't just being a salesperson. I would say I started from the customer service trenches. Let me use that word for so that someone in internship will understand. And it was more on their transaction issues, and your bosses will just give it to you to speak to customers. So for me, speaking to customers who have issues, trying to process the transaction really helps me a lot to understand tech. I don't have any traditional background in tech. I didn't even do anything around computer. I think having to solve customers' issue from picking smaller items that people would ordinarily would actually look over. So I think customer service, account management were one of the key things I picked up starting my career. And that really helped me transition, right? From customer service or customer success or account manager, trying to solve customers' problem. It wasn't really, it wasn't interesting, it wasn't sweet, it wasn't glamorous, it wasn't anything interesting where you have customers would shout on you, customers would tell you, I want transactions being solved now, and a different attitude that came with it. But for me, it was the most important school I ever had to go because I learned a lot of things, right? And by solving those small problems, it was frustrating, but it was solving customers' problem. I realized that customers don't just want to give you their money; they want you to solve a problem for them, right? And not leave them. So for me, where I built my major career, where I scaled was um, knowing when you're solving a problem and when you're creating a problem. And those roles were just about learning the products, right? Sitting down with engineers, software guys, learning what's, aside from the codes that they build, what exactly is this code solving, right? And they were they were more like invisible skills that I didn't know I was gathering, right? Gathering, solving problems for people. And moving from customer success to account management to building products, I realized that you just don't build a product for customers. You really need to know why a customer really this problem. Yes, your company may want to make revenue, but to be an expert in the field that you do is you have to ensure that you are solving a problem, right? You're not just going to a customer's office to say we sell fraud solutions or we have real-time payment solutions. You're listening to the customers to really find out what really do they need. In my early days in career, trying to resolve customers' problems, trying to resolve customers' issue, I learned a lot of things. I learned that when you're empathetic to customers' plea or customers' problem, they actually want you to come back again. So for someone who is trying to intern and move on, I would always say treat sales or treat customer service role or treat account management role as your like a paid internship, right? Like you're paid to do it, even though it's not interesting, it's not sweet. They give you the grit to handle bigger problems when you start selling tech or you handle tech problem. It helps you actually interface with customers because you know how it feels when you speak to customers on the phone. They're not happy with your products. You're able to resolve that problem. And for me, the three soft skills I always would always say someone should have is strategic empathy, right? What do I mean by that? Customer really wants you to empathize with them, right? And when you're able to listen to them, not just listening. You're listening to them and you're able to know their pain points and you're able to resolve their problem. You just don't sell one product to them, you sell multiple products. They come back to you, they keep coming back. I think another a soft skill, I think one should learn is data, right? For customers, they don't want you to say, oh, we're able to solve X customer's problem and they're doing well. They want to hear you say things like, X customer used to do 10,000 transactions and we're able to solve a problem. And today they scale at 15% or they're doing 25%. You need to be able to use data to be able to speak to customers, right? So one of those things they want to hear or foreign people want to hear is you were able to change a customer's problem and you're able to increase a transaction from an X number to a certain number. You have to always have to use your data well. I think another soft skill is knowing how do I put it, being fluent in your, so you don't have to be a coder or you don't have to be a software engineer, but you need to know the actual problem a customer needs and what it's solving. What do I mean by that is at the point of you solving a customer's problem, you can actually create another success or another products that can actually make them become more successful. So you need to be in depth in what's it called in trends. You need to know what customers. If I solve this problem, can I create another? What's it called? Can I create something else that the customer can enjoy afterwards? So you've solved the problem, but you also know that if I solve this problem in the next 2 months, but the customer still need it, you need to be able to know the trends that helps customers improve more in their what's it called in their transaction. I think having strategic empathy, speaking to them, knowing their needs and knowing their pain points and knowing what solutions to show them, and also treating your customer like it's not just a one-time transaction you're going to have with them. There are going to be multiple sales. There are going to be multiple products that you would know the customers will need. I think for someone interning, it's more of knowing the product well. You don't have to be a coder. You don't have to be a software engineer. Just know what problem customer has and what needs you can provide. So for anyone trying to intern, is I would always say customer success. Having to solve customers' issue when they come, learn the ropes, and yes, so that's more like a starting
Well,
point for anyone
thank you
interning.
so much. Thank you so much, Okechi, for starting off with that. You've touched on critical elements, but then I just want to highlight the top three skills you mentioned for anyone who didn't catch that. Okechi said the top three soft skills: curiosity, strategic empathy, and of course, high-level problem-solving skills. And in that comes the ability to pin data to solutions and to the problems you're solving for customers. Ekundayo, I would like to come to you next. Okay, just touched on data and product and all of that, but then I want to come to you to understand how critical data literacy, product understanding, and industry knowledge compared to traditional selling skills. And I'm coming to you because as a founder, you must have had so many CVs sitting in front of your desk. So as you look at applicant CVs and all of that from a founder's perspective, what do you look for in a first-time tech sales hire that isn't on their
Okay.
CV? Ekundayo,
Okay.
please.
Okay, fantastic. Mo, good to meet you again. It seems one
Hi.
of these days we need to go and do coffee hangout so that I can talk more. I'm Bukayo, good to see you. Okay, to everybody, good to see you guys. So, I will start from a very interesting perspective. I actually built one of the biggest email marketing platform at the time, and then we sold. We're powering most of the banks in Nigeria. So obviously, we had the product and we had to sell. And then we had to have insight. So some of the banks don't need front end. Some of the banks need the front end. Some just need your server to just power something. So ability to have that level of insight dealing with um, the financial industry helped us across every other channel. So now we're dealing in 7 countries and having insight into some level of data in terms of we're doing some other projects. So you're looking at yourself as a person who you want to hire people and you're thinking of what kind of mindset does this person come to the table with? Is this person willing to learn? Do they have the ability to follow up? How tenacious are these people? Sometimes, we come with all this English that, oh, the person must be refined and all of that. Sometimes I've realized that the person who is not refined brings me more money on the table than the guy who wears suit and tie and speaks all the grammar and all of that. The room next to me is our official sales room. We're the only partner for Zoho for West Africa that is doing, we're giving out free Zoho tools, as in 3,000, I'll be 3 million naira for startups. And we're the only partner for Zoho for startup. And then we're doing some sort of other work for Zoho across other countries. So you're asking yourself, you're also selling things like tech products, right? And you need to know how that sales go. Who can sell? What is their net worth? I don't hire people from, for example, as simple as it is. I won't hire you for my maybe classmates. Why? Because we have similar network. So I'll go and look for somebody who will finish from other schools who can drag in that kind of network for me. If you work in other industries, I'm willing to get you into my own system so that you can bring people from that network to our own sales table. So we're selling tech products and the users, I won't go to a gathering where we're all salespeople and try to sell because we are all tech. We're coming to shine who and who can shine to each other. That's what we try to do there. But if I go into a doctor's conference, it's easy for me to sell to hospitals and all of that because this is the place where I meet my direct users. I also do the same thing in agriculture, manufacturing. So that insight is what I want to see in a candidate. Ability to think on your foot, your ability to create scenarios, ability to engage, ability to sustain an engagement, ability to transfer that same relationship that we're discussing now into a level of exchange of resources, value, or money. Because, for example, running a local platform where we built, everything from scratch, spending a lot of money every month without funding, we bootstrap. Then you go to the end user, and then the guy comes to tell you that no, this thing is not like this one is not like you are benchmarking against MailChimp that has all the money on their table. They have all the resources, they have electricity, and we are building, trying to. I remember when we went to Main One, wanted to take a space in MDXI, the server and all of that. And the way they were scrutinizing us, in case we want to also create some sort of fishy to get other people's data from there. It was just crazy. There was one we went to, you have to pull off your shoe, you have to do this, do that. We've been through all that process. And then you now get to the market and you're telling somebody to buy, and the person tells you, oh, we'll get back to you. Can I follow up? Because my money is in the follow up. If I'm hiring a salesperson, can the person pick his phone and call the person who will not pick calls, or the person will speak to you rudely or something for the next 6, 7 times you're talking to the person, then they get into a problem and then they are calling you, say, okay, so that your solution you spoke about, now we need it. But meanwhile, the first 2, 3 times they spoke to you was very rude. And then some people will even give you some promise, no, don't worry, tomorrow. That tomorrow never comes. So the process, what I try to check for is, do you have the ability to receive rejection? Have you been through that process where you're built, you're sustained? My story may be a bit different from theirs, but because from 16, I started experiencing rejection because that was when I left home for university to go and look for admission for myself. And at that point, no, it's not these days where there was GSM where you call home, they write letter. I got admission, I photocopied, I wrote a letter, gave it to a cab guy who traveled all the way 6 states to go and give it to my parents. Those kind of days where we still use this hang phone on the wall and all of that. So we've been through that process of rejection. You go and paint. I finish class sometimes, in the university when many years ago, and I'm thinking, how am I going to eat now? Okay, who can I sell a CD to here? Or I have this thing in a drive. I need to sell to one guy here. Okay, there is Nero. Then you go and sell to your classmates. And then the guy gives you 1K, you go and look for where to burn the CD, where to buy all those things, and then you still make your profit. Same kind of skill, you translate it into a better system. So if I've seen that you've been an entrepreneur before, you've done some level of sales before in a younger age, it's easy for you to come on board. And then we close deals, and then we are happy, everybody share money, and we go home. Because my own philosophy is that let everybody be rich. You will make more sales for me if you are rich. So that's my 2 kobo here.
Oh, wow, Ekudayo, once again you're back with your realness. I remember the last conversation we had where you just bust up the room with a founder's perspective and street knowledge that is not common in conversations like this. So thank you so much for still maintaining the originality. I'll be coming to you, Adepoju, because he has touched on some of the skills you would need to succeed as a tech salesperson. But I also believe just as a professional, right? So he has touched on persuasion and all of this problem-solving mindset. But beyond persuasion and the top 3 skills, what would you say are the skills that have been consistently differentiating high-performing tech sales professional? And like he has also touched on, how do you close in a market where the customer is always naturally skeptical or has a low trust towards salespeople? Thank you.
That's a very good question. And I think that a lot of people in sales generally experience rejection. And that's why I'm happy that I believe it was Ogechi and Ekundayo that mentioned it. It's a common thing. If you learning how to handle rejection is one of the things that is crucial to succeeding in tech sales or sales altogether. So if I were to pick the top 3 skills that will say differentiates high performing tech sales professionals from not so performing, I would say that the first thing is problem solving. So a lot of people push back or reject. It doesn't necessarily infer that they're not interested in your product. It could just product or service. It could just be that they're not clear on certain things. They want some, higher level of assurance. They basically want you to tell them why they're buying. And because, like you said, people are not just paying because they want to spend money. It's because there's a shortcoming or there's a gap in what they're currently using, or they're just looking for an improvement from what they're using, right? So if you're able to break down complex problem into clear, defensible solutions, it becomes easier to sell. When a person tells you the challenges that they're facing in whatever sphere or landscape, and you're able to position what you're selling to basically solve that issue, conversion is almost guaranteed. And not just that, it also builds trust because yes, naturally, an average business or a person will be skeptical because you're practically a stranger coming to say, give me your money. How should I know I can trust you with my money? You need to prove to them by doing different things, especially when they push back with what their concerns are. So being able to break down um, complex problems and showing them the solutions that you're preferring or offering, it makes it all the more easier. The second thing I would say is stakeholder management. And I say this because the part of the world that we're in, the kind of people that we are, Respect is very important. Having a relationship with people is very important because it can open doors to other things, but it can also let people open up to you in ways that you didn't even expect. So, keeping relationships with people is one side of stakeholder management, but also engaging with the right people. And this is one of the mistakes I made earlier on, especially when I was working as an SDR. I will talk to people not knowing that these are people that cannot even sign off on anything. You would have spoken for weeks, days, months, and it just falls through sometimes. But I learned this earlier on that when you speak to the people that matter, the people that can make the decision in any business, it makes it easy for you to convert them. Why? Because you're directly selling to the person who needs that solution, who is looking forward to, solving his problem with your product or service or your solution, and they're able to make the decision on the spot. Whereas if you speak to someone who cannot do that, you'll be speaking for a long time, and that person is not even, transferring or passing your message across to the right stakeholders. The third thing I would say is, and I think I mentioned this in the earlier question that you asked, um, understanding the business. And when I say that, I'm speaking around business acumen. I say that because if you don't understand the business of the person you're trying to sell to or the business that you're trying to sell to, you wouldn't really know anything about them to be able to tailor or personalize your communication to them. That's a very important thing. You need to learn about their business. What are they about? What's their culture about? Where do they stand in terms of their finances? Looking historically or in retrospect, how much have they invested in advertising? For example, I work in ad tech, and let me just mention this. Myself and Bukayo have worked in the ad tech space for a bit. That's how I know him, because I see everybody knowing each other. So I thought to put that out there. But one of the things that happens is that um, if you don't understand that business, it becomes difficult to speak confidently. You need to know what they're about. And so when you're passing your message across or telling them why they need to convert with your product or service, it looks like you're actually listening. Because, like Oge said, customers want to know that you understand what they want. It's not just an exchange of give me your money, let me give you a service. They want to understand. So, as far as the top three skills go, I would say that stakeholder management, problem solving, and business acumen. In terms of closing in a skeptical market, like I said, this is very common, but there are ways and there are methods. So I'll just speak on some of the ones that I use because, again, I'm in the art tech space. First of all, when people are skeptical, you shouldn't keep pushing. Otherwise, you'll find yourself irritating them or just bombarding them with information that they already have. Whereas you're not addressing their major concerns, that could be said directly or could be said in between the lines, right? What you need to do is de-risk instead. And how do you do that? You are able to prove ROI. If you give me this money, this is what my solution or my service or my product can do for you. This is what you get in return. This is how you stand to benefit from it. The second thing is using use cases. People love testimonials, and that's why word of mouth is one of the most powerful techniques in marketing. If you're able to prove that this person has used it, X number of people have used it, and it worked for them and it helped to scale their business or solve their problem, they love to see that and they would want to give it a try. But then again, there are different levels of skepticism. There are some that would outrightly say no. You would experience that because that's sales, that's the reality. In some cases, also, you offer pilots. Remember, sometimes you're pushing a product or a service that nobody has ever heard of. And you don't expect them to trust you off the jump like some customers, clients, or businesses would. It's okay to offer pilots. You know what? I'm going to give you X number for you to test out. See it, make sure that they get the best results. And when they do, you find that they scale up, they tend to invest more. And last but not least, and this is very important because I personally learned this very late, being transparent is very important. If there are any kind of limitations, don't go and promise people that your product is going to take them to the moon. And then when they buy into that, I don't know, lie or sales technique, it becomes a problem for you in front. You need to speak truthfully about the product that you're selling. You need to speak truthfully about the product. It saves you a lot of headache. If you have been in sales long enough, you would know that when you're selling something, say it how it is. It helps to manage expectations, essentially. So I would say that, that has been my method. It has worked for me. Of course, this is a learning curve for every single one of us, no matter how many years or months we've used in this space. So yeah, that's basically it.
Well, thank you so much. I would say today's conversation has been quite rich. Thank you all for bringing flair and originality to your contributions. Please, as we take the last round of questions around the room, if we could just keep our responses to 2 minutes so that we can actually take some questions from the chat and from our other communities that are flooding in. That would be much appreciated, speakers. So I'm coming to you, Bukayo. I have, like I said, I've seen you, I've watched you from afar, and it's been so impressive to see your growth and everything. Seeing you work and consult for both local and global brands has been quite amazing, right? So I want to ask, how can young professionals position themselves for regional or global opportunities from Africa? But as you answer that, I want you to also touch on the fact that if you are advising your younger self or someone in the audience today who wants to build a long-term successful career in tech sales, what is the single most important advice you would give to them? Thank you.
I think I'll start from the second question, right? How will I put it? And I'm going to go with what Ayeni said, to be very clear. And this will begin very conventional. Is one of the way I built a thick skin was I had to ask a lot of ladies out very early, and rejection was part of the thing that I had to build thick skin, right? So it became part of the things, right? You find that more men are more likely to ask ladies out, right, than the other way, because they've had to learn rejection over time. I think the first thing is gets a lot of rejections early. All right, is very good for character development. Like we like to say in the days, is a character development thing. And the reason I say that is because when you start to build up your pipeline, and in terms of, let's get serious now, you wouldn't get a lot of, you're not going to get yes for everybody you speak to, right? And when you get a lot of no, don't take it personally. So when you are used to getting rejections, you will not take things personally, and you're more likely to go again in court, right? And then you understand why they say no. I can tell you that someone that said no today can say yes in the next 1 year. I've had a client that I chased for a full year before we got the yes, right? And it's nothing personal. Like, I'm sorry, I'm like, no, you don't have to be sorry, right? I totally understand. So I think that's something I really say, or say to my younger self, or someone I need to talk to right there. Get a lot of rejection daily. It's good for character development. The second thing would be discuss impacts, business impacts upwards. Don't discuss activities, don't discuss tasks and things like that. Discuss business impacts. How has your activities and everything affected the bottom line in this simplest and the shortest way possible? That begins to see that, okay, this person is thinking strategically and understands, how things work on a commercial level from that point of view. Pertaining to global opportunities, I would say solve bigger problems. There's no one way. I think experiences compound and actions compound. So you can have different entries for something to happen to you. But what I can tell you that there are certain frameworks that can lead you faster to these outcomes, right? So solve bigger problems, very important. So whether internally or externally, internally in terms of where you're currently at, externally in terms of an ecosystem level, right? So solve problems on an ecosystem level that is not just you, but also the space and the industry you talk. And they talk about it a lot, right? Opportunities typically go to, people that are meru and valuable. Most of the time, I find that people choose one of the two. So they're either valuable and not memorable, or memorable and not valuable, right? So talk about it when you make those impacts very much. So you begin to attract, the right people and the right opportunities for the value you're able to bring to the table. And then we have staple things like joint communities, both local, regional, and global communities. There are several global Slack channels you can join, or LinkedIn groups you can join, as well as local. Then things begin to compound in terms of referral. People understand you, and then you become visible to be a memorable person and also a very valuable person. Perspective.
Well, thank you so much, Bukayo, for being spot on. Right. So, Ogechi, a question has been directed to you from one of our community members, and it says, can you share one defining moment in your career where a deal, a failure, or a strategic decision significantly shaped how you approach sales or growth today, seeing that, of course, your career moved from different industries and, of course, different roles to the point you're sitting now. So I believe that this is why this was directed to you. Okay, please.
Sorry, I was muted. I think I want to use one of the products. So, I work for InterSwitch, and aside from building solutions and products for the local market here in Nigeria, one of the things, of course, we look at doing is expanding, not just in Africa, but, across Africa as well. Being a product person, of course, so from products into growth marketing, there are times when you build products and because you know your product is good, and you think the product is not being, is not being sold the way you want to sell it. There's always this, I don't know if there's a PM here, there's always this eagerness to just want to do it yourself. And I remember, and of course, you always, I work with InterSwitch, and one of the things we like to do is build a product well, solid products before we take it out. But you know how early days in your career, you just want to show that you're working and all. And I was able to convince my boss to say, let's take these products to Ghana and of course to Kenya and all of those countries. Of course, you drive the products. They allow you to be, to make decisions. One of the ways you grow, obviously, here is you're able to make decisions. Of course, when you fail, you're able to also take, the repercussion. And I remember hearing from someone saying that, oh, this ex company wants to take the solutions, to the African country. And we're just in a hurry to also want to do that. And I remember really telling my boss, we've done this, we've done that, work with business team, and everything was important. It was a product I wanted to take to the African market. But one of the things that we always fail to do is learning that regulatory differs, right? And of course, cultural styles, cultural nuances, and how people in those markets accept products. And one of the things we failed to really adhere to was regulatory guidelines and all. And we took that product to the markets, and of course we failed. Why? Because um, it was something that we wanted to do first mover advantage, right? And it actually did fail. And in my early careers, I realized that one person do not make the decision. It's an end-to-end, it's a circle of different people coming together to ensure that a product has been done. It wasn't like from our end, we didn't think that we didn't do our job well, but we also realized that, sorry, I'm hearing like a feedback.
Tech
Hello?
team, please kindly mute it for tech team, please. Kindly mute it for.
Okay, sorry. Um, So I think one of the things I learned is knowing that people always think that deals are big talk, right? There are different elements of it that makes that deal a deal, right? In Africa, big deals are built on different elements. You build those products on different elements before you even take it. So mine is the local. I would always say never assumed that what works in Lagos would work in Nairobi or work in Cairo or work in other countries because of the different cultural differences we have, regulatory guidelines that we have. So I always say always master, because that was one of the things I learned, is always master what is applicable in that market and build. So when going forward, of course, the different products we're taking into the country, into the market is when I'm building a product, I'm not building a product for Oge who lives in Lagos. I'm building a product for someone in Kenya, for example, in Nairobi, for example, who has a need for something that that country, accepts. So in taking products or in building products is essential, is very key for you to also know that, we have cultural nuances, there are regulatory guidelines that differs from what we have in Lagos, Nigeria, and may not be applicable to, for example, in Nairobi in Kenya.
Awesome. Thank you, Ogechi, for bringing that Pan-African lens to that question. Thank you so much. I believe that should be very valuable to the person who asked. Kodayo, I will be coming to you for your last question. So Ogechi has shared from the mistake angle and maybe a decision that she took or that the team took that was quite of course snappy in retrospect. So for you, I want to ask if you could share an instance of a successful high ticket deal and the single most important lesson that that deal taught you about the African tech sales landscape. But then, of course, as you answer that, also touch on the fact that what mistakes should early career professionals in tech sales consciously avoid for you who of course have such skin in the game? Thank you.
Okay. So I'll try to be very fast. They say I have 2 minutes, right? So the first thing first is so I've identified somebody I want to take for lunch on the call. You know, I always try to do that. And I think somebody who bears my father's name that has Ajayi in the name, I would take the person for lunch if the person is willing. So Bukayo, you wait. And you say we should ask women that. So we'll do that discussion behind the scenes. Okay, so high ticket. So there was a client, is a client we've been working with now 12 years. We have a solution that tracks people's performance, your algorithm online, what you're doing, negative, positive review, because we have a part of our organization who do reputation management and control. And it took me 4 years to sign the contract on retainership. But the first 4 years, it was more like we're doing try run. So a lady invited me over, we met, um, and the way she was talking to me, although she had plenty money, so I would call her name or make insinuation so you understand, plenty money. And I felt like, how old are you now? You know, when you get to that point where you feel like that. But something told me if you get through the year, you won't be able to feed yourself when you get home. So I had to be patient, listen through. We did the first job for them using our software to analyze how many impersonations they had online, how to take it out, and all of that. That went, we got a deal, and then one day out of the blue, she just called and said, "Send me your invoice." You know, before I wanted to send the invoice, and she said we didn't qualify. So she paid us some pretty good money then. And then down the line, 2 years, I kept following up, send gifts, greet her, say hello to her a few times, and she just snubs me. Then her father then had a problem, which was not a bigger problem. And the father is the richest man, so you can assume in Africa. So let's not say I'll be the richest black man. And the same problem came up. So we put in the solution, we figured it out, took down all the negative reviews, and then that whole account has been on retainership for 9 years. So every month there must be something they pay us to keep them good and nice online. Now, the tenacity to follow up for 4 years, because the average life cycle for closing a deal for us, we discovered is between 4 to 6 months. Some take us 1 year. We just got one today, and we've been on the account since December 2024. So we just closed the deal today. As of today, this afternoon, we're in a meeting when the client called and said, okay, add this, make sure we want to have an option, we want to have this. So sometimes it may take you a bit of time, but your ability to be patient, but you then also make sure your pipe is full at every given time. So you must have multiple transactions you're trying to close. For example, part of the KPI for the sales team is that for every given time I enter your office, you must have proposals that are worth close to $2 million on the table. And when I mean what, so that means that their clients, this one, oh, we're expecting they'll pay us 50 million, they'll pay us $10,000, they'll pay us $50,000, so that you are able to close. Because if your pipe is not full, you cannot grow in tech sales. Then forget your immediate network, because friends and family, really, how much can they buy from you? Begin to look at other bigger spaces you can go into. So, for example, I go to Abuja, like the first time I went to Abuja, just to go and do voluntary movement around, see who I can meet and all of that. I spent 2 weeks, and at the end of the 2 weeks, we had done over 30 something million. Why? As I go into those meetings, I go shamelessly, because most times, that thing of, oh, I don't know what they will say, how they will feel, and all of that. They are human beings like you, and you must be able to approach and say what you have to say. And then at some point, you will close. And then In advertising, it works that way because we run a digital marketing agency somewhere by the side. That's one of our biggest organizations. So you begin to look at, okay, we travel into countries where we don't even have the same languages. For example, we have an office in Cote d'Ivoire, and it's a very difficult place to operate because you don't even understand what they are saying to you, right? So I have to hire people who are playing a bit of translation. I'm learning French, because I can't be in that market and not make money. So what then happened is that the revenue from that office is high because their ability to spend is higher in that country than what we have in Nigeria. So rather, I would position to be number one in that economy because I'll make more money. Same thing, I was in the US. So primarily part of my base is US, right? And I go for conferences. I discover every time I go for marketing conferences, after they promise everybody everything, you get to the back and you're discussing with these guys. Maybe my own worldview. Maybe because I'm black, I then have this issue of, oh, we can't discuss that with you and all of that, or somebody wants to bill me for something. I started going to other conferences within the United States and we're closing deals. It's as bad as there was a time I was somewhere in the US and I had to my cards were not working, Zenith, all of those things were not working, and I needed to get money. I sat down on the business directory, looked at all the churches that were there, about 300 churches overnight. I sent email to 300 churches. By the time I woke up in the morning, about 10 of them had responded. Sorry, sorry, I have to cut this call. Apologies. I didn't know my system had this on. I can't even find it. Apologies. Let me just log out of the app. Okay. So apologies about that. So by the time I woke up in the morning, out of the 300 churches I reached out to, I had almost I think I had about 30 something that had replied. Five of them did transaction with us that same week. And that was when we discovered that it's better we operate in that market where we make more money. And they were doing $500 a month. At that time was fantastic money for us to provide just graphics for them. So that even gave back to an entire company at the end of the day for us. So sometimes when you look at what you're doing, your ability to be spontaneous, to think out of the box, to get things done when you are in that tight corner is very, very crucial. And I think that's my two cover on that pathway because most times, most young people are not willing to sacrifice. And when I mean sacrifice, the ability to go to meetings. There was a time I just used to go and sit in hotels many years ago. Even now, my mentees, part of the first thing you do if I want me to mentor you, is I go to a hotel for 1 week. But by the time you are coming back on Friday, make sure you have 10 contacts that are willing to do business with you. So you go on Monday, there are free conferences, you sit down there. On Tuesday, sit down in those free conferences. Look for the head of procurement, head of marketing, head of this, somebody who can make decisions in an organization, create a relationship with the person, sell your service to the person. So the number of rejections that you experience will then help you build a proper pipeline. So if you go and you get 10 people this week, by the time you're done with the month, you have 40 people. There's a potential chance that you do business with 10% of them, which is 4 people. So do that repeatedly every week, and then you see how much money you're raking in. So when people come, oh, the product is not selling, I usually say you are the one that is not selling, not the product. Too. Product don't have problem because all of us produce movie, we put it in cinema. Somebody will make 2 billion, somebody will not make money. It's your choice. It's your choice in terms of the results that you get. I just do the things that people may not assume I should do. I still write handwritten letters to organizations that look. I know if we send email, this thing will not be delivered, man. This is me. Oh, I've sent you a handwritten letter. Will you work with me or you not work with me? I did not approach you or anything to this thing. Are you going to work with me? I've gone back to what it used to be. This is how we all grew up as a millennial. Do business with me. That's just a simple logic. Get somebody who writes fine handwriting in your organization and just post it. They would get it. They will call you. It's just that most times when we do those things, I say, "Ah, no, we are now tech." Oh, they are not blind. They will still read it. That's why billboards cannot go away. So that's my two cover for sales team. And then I will look for a way to get through to the person I promised lunch.
Thank you, Ekundayo. Thank you so much. I think, Ekundayo, one of the things you owe humanity this year should be organizing a sales masterclass. And you should target street sales masterclass. I think TechEconomy should reach out to you on that because your insights and your
Thank you.
responses for the time of knowing are always unconventional, but they still deliver the end result. So thank you so much. So apologies for keeping us here beyond the time. We have gone beyond 6 minutes, but just want to crave your indulgence for a question from the chat from Omilavu. Sorry if I didn't pronounce that well, but his or her question has been touched a bit in some of our responses, but the person is asking specifically what entry-level roles or opportunities exist in tech sales and which one is best for beginners. And I would love Adepoju to answer this because of your responses in the past has touched on this. So please take this on. Thank you.
All right. And I also think I touched on it a bit earlier. When it comes to tech sales, you don't necessarily have to have experience if you're coming in through entry-level roles. And those roles include being a sales development representative, or what some people call a business development representative. As long as you have the willingness to learn, you are opening up yourself to improving, you are, for a lack of better words, learning how to chest rejection, because sales is a tough space. But once you're able to hack it, it becomes easier. It becomes something that you enjoy. Besides being paid for it, you would actually look forward to speaking to your next client because people are different. And so the experience is different amongst individuals or businesses, right? So, in terms of the entry level roles that exist, sales development representative, business development representative, and it doesn't have to be limited to the country that you stay in. The particular role I did for entry role was US based. I work remotely. And so even that exposed me to experiencing how the US market operated. So you get to experience a lot. And then this is the basic foundation that you need. Why? Because this is where you practically do cold calling, you learn prospecting, you understand the different types of people. The number of times that you do something personalized or tailored to your clients or your potential clients is basically grooming you for your next level, which could be a sales manager or a team lead, if you will, depending on the organizational structure. So, if I were to advise based on my experience, I would say start small. Don't worry about the title. Titles will come naturally. Chase developing the skills that you need to succeed in tech sales. And when you do, those opportunities will open up, and then you even find yourself mentoring other people that are coming in as well. So that's it.
All right, thank you. I just want to confirm if anyone has something to add. Ogechi or Bukayo, you seemed like you had something to share on that.
Okay, yes, if I could add to that, so I always say to people that your low-hanging, you know, fruit is your current background, right? Um, so I always tell people you don't have to work in, tech, right? To be a sales tech person. So for example, if you work in a pharmacy, you can be the perfect person to sell healthcare, health technology, right? There are tools. You don't have to sell medicine. You don't have to sell drugs, meds off the shelf. They are actually healthcare tools. Because you already speak the language of the customers, you already know the customers, you know the needs, right? So one of the things I always do, and I've said to people, especially young entries, focus on becoming a solution translator. In the tech space, what we do basically is make life easier for customers, right? Enable lives, build product, design product that solves everyday needs, right? I don't think there's anything we do differently. We don't have to be this, you don't have to do that. As long as your product or solution is solving a problem or is enabling people to make better choices or live better. So I would always say tech sales in Africa or generally honestly, it's 30% knowing the products. I think the major thing, which is 70%, is becoming the industry. Um, what's it called? Knowing the pain in the industry, knowing the pain points the customer have, and looking for how to solve that problem. The 30% technical part of it can actually be learned, sitting down with product teams, with the software guys. I just think is just learn how to translate the problem and solve it. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you, speakers, for having lent us more than 60 minutes of your time. And I think you're already having your flowers from the comment section. Bolaji said that you've all made his or her day. And of course, I just want to prompt our audience and community members. You can actually follow and connect with our speakers on LinkedIn. Their names are the same on LinkedIn because I know you may have either questions you couldn't ask yet or questions that come up later on in your mind, or discussions, or if you encounter problems implementing any of this advice. So you can actually connect with them on social. I believe they are quite social. And also, beyond just organizing conversations, tech economy actually also seeks out to deliver opportunities. So if you check the chat, there's a job opportunity that actually speaks to one of the things we're talking about here, which is tech sales. There's a job opportunity there, and the email address to send your CV or your portfolios to is actually there. So please do check out that job opportunity that has been shared. And then last thing I want to share is that this meeting was recorded, and so as always, we'll have this up on our YouTube and of course shared on our socials for when that recording is available. So you can actually go back to listen to this and share it with your team or anyone you want to see progress and advance this year. Again, thank you so much, speakers, for bringing such thought leadership to the conversation. We would connect outside of here and, of course, see how we can make this more recurrent and, of course, keep delivering tangible value. Thank you so much, Adepoju. Thank you, Kundayo. Thank you, Bukayo. Thank you, Gechi. It's been such an amazing time sharing the same stage and room with you all. Do have an amazing rest of your week and happy midweek. Take care, everyone.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right. Bye.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you very
thank
much.
you.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Lisa.